Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times. Also, please do not touch the Dark Souls bonfire display. Our janitor Ed tried to grab the sword, and now he's the undead chosen one, and bosses keep popping up everywhere. There's zombies and stuff. Oh, hold on a second. I'm being told that this joke is stupid. Well, doesn't matter. Welcome to another episode of Overwatch Champions. Guys, today we're going to take a look at the defense portion of Eichenwalde. So without any further holdups, let's just jump right into it. Defense on hybrid maps works pretty much the same way every time, and Eichenwalde is no exception to this. Holding on to the point and watching your flank routes is easily your best option, typically using your tanks to defend by the guard tower with 1 DPS with them, while a DPS is stationed on the porch and your supports are tucked away in the bar or by back of sight. This works almost like a hybrid of Nimbani and King's Row, and overextending on defense can mean certain death, like pretty much every other map on defense. With the recent changes, Soldier and Hanzo are a solid pickup on defense, and allowing you to use Hanzo's revealing arrow to keep tabs on the enemy push, and Soldier's improved strength at longer ranges to harass the offense, making it hard for them to push. Using Reinhardt on this point is generally okay, but keep in mind, if you have that shield, you should use it. He's a little bit of an offensive defense tank, if that makes sense. Generally, you just want to use that shield to harass the enemy team and keep your team close to them, preventing them from being able to easily break through chokes. Roadhog is powerful as usual with his ability to immediately snag an attacking player and make it a 5v6, causing the offense to reconsider the push, so I definitely recommend him here as well. On second point, you have a massive advantage in high ground, and I strongly recommend using Reinhardt and Reaper for this point. Early on, you want to be holding by the corner with your tanks and Reaper, letting your ranged DPS hold up top on the bridge with Pocket Mercy. This setup makes it very difficult for the enemy team to push straight into you, instead forcing them to attack the defenders that are up top. With the Pocket Mercy, you will find that you can actually easily hold this stairwell sometimes, especially if you have a Hanzo, whose scatter arrow is a massive deterrent to approach through this enclosed space. With this setup, there is no need to drop down on the enemy team since you're playing a 4-2 or 3-3 split, and you have a great vantage point to fight from the bridge. If the enemy team makes it past the crenellated bridge over to the main castle bridge, you can actually still use this high ground to flank the attackers. Soldier, McCree, and Hanzo are especially good for this, since if your team engages on the bridge, you can practically rain down on them uncontested while they deal with the front lines. Fair is also a great pick for this point, since her verticality gives her a lot of advantages over the grounded units, especially towards the bridge where her concussive rocket can net her a few kills. Being really aggressive at this door is actually a pretty good idea, since you don't actually spawn that far away, and the payload takes quite a while to get through the door, so losing the fight and wiping isn't quite as costly as it is on some maps. On the last point, you have a lot of different levels to work with, and defense setups will vary greatly depending on your comp. Since the buffs, Mei is actually a great pick on this point, and all the tight spaces make her really difficult to deal with for tank-heavy lineups. DPS have several different vantage points that they can take advantage of once the payload is approaching the final stretch, and if you're feeling gutsy, you have some flanking passages too. Keep in mind the offense will be looking to use these as well though, sending heroes like Reaper and Tracer to wreak havoc. Generally, on the last point, it's a good idea to try to stay somewhat spread out, but not to overextend. Roadhog is a great offensive pick here, so keep in mind you may get hooked if you're pushing too far out. I don't recommend Reinhardt for defense on this point. Instead, I suggest Winston and Zarya. Especially with Winston's high mobility, it'll let you deal with flankers that are looking to use those backhauls as long as you keep communication and tabs on the enemy. Alright guys, that's it for this short overview of defense on Eichenwalde. The map is still fairly new, so we expect the strategies to evolve over time, and we'll be covering this map again in a future episode when we start to break down some VODs of tournament level games to give you guys a better idea of what it looks like in action. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up, and you can check out some of our older videos here. Don't forget to leave a comment about who the next hero guide should cover. Tracer and Genji are still neck and neck, we need a tiebreaker. Lastly, we have a podcast coming up soon, and I'm going to be on it. We'll be covering Overwatch as well as Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and more, so stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Get out there and be the hammer.